Most people spend 47% of their waking hours thinking about something other than what they are actually doing. Nearly half of every day, your mind is somewhere else entirely. And according to a landmark Harvard study, this mental wandering makes people measurably less happy, not occasionally, not slightly, but consistently and significantly less happy than when they are fully present. That is not a small finding. That is your life, slipping through the cracks of an unfocused mind. In the next few minutes, you are going to discover exactly what mindfulness actually is beneath all the wellness marketing, how to weave it into ordinary moments you already experience every single day, and why most people who try mindfulness fail to make it stick. There is one insight coming up that completely contradicts the advice most teachers give beginners, and it has to do with how much time you actually need. Stay with this until the end, because that piece alone could change everything. Mindfulness has roots that stretch back more than 2,500 years. It originates from Buddhist meditation traditions, particularly the Pali word, sati, which translates roughly to awareness, attention, and remembering to be present. For most of human history, this practice existed within deeply spiritual frameworks, passed from teachers to students in monasteries and quiet retreats. Then, in 1979, a molecular biologist named John Kabat-Zinn changed everything. Working at the University of Massachusetts Medical School, he stripped mindfulness of its religious context and developed what he called mindfulness-based stress reduction, or MBSR. His goal was simple but radical: take ancient wisdom and make it accessible to ordinary people dealing with chronic pain, anxiety, and stress. The results were remarkable. Patients who had not responded to conventional treatment began reporting real, measurable improvement. A new field of research was born. Over the following decades, neuroscientists began examining what mindfulness actually does to the brain. What they found is extraordinary. Regular mindfulness practice physically changes brain structure. The prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for decision-making and emotional regulation, becomes thicker. The amygdala, your brain's alarm system that triggers stress responses, actually shrinks in volume. A study from Harvard found that just 8 weeks of mindfulness practice produced visible changes in gray matter density. Your brain, in other words, is not fixed. It responds to attention the same way a muscle responds to exercise. This is the biological foundation of why mindfulness works, and it is important because it moves the conversation away from belief and into measurable, repeatable science. But here is what nobody talks about when they explain this research. The people in those early studies were not meditating for hours every day. Many were practicing for as little as 10 to 20 minutes. Some were practicing even less. The transformation was not about volume. It was about consistency and quality of attention. That distinction matters enormously for how you approach this in your own life. So what does practicing mindfulness in daily life actually look like? The first and most accessible entry point is breathing. Not structured breathing exercises, not timed techniques, but simply noticing that you are breathing. Right now, as you listen to these words, air is moving in and out of your body. Your chest or belly is rising and falling. The air has a slight temperature as it enters your nose. Most people go entire days without noticing any of this. Bringing awareness to the breath for even 30 seconds creates a small but genuine return to the present moment. It is the simplest mindfulness tool that exists, and it requires absolutely nothing except your attention. The second practice is body scanning during transitions. Think about the moments you move from one activity to another throughout your day. You get up from your desk. You walk to your car. You wait for coffee to brew. These transitional moments are usually hijacked by the mind racing ahead to what comes next. Instead, try dropping attention briefly into your physical body. Notice where you are holding tension. Notice the sensation of your feet on the floor. Notice the temperature of the room. This takes no extra time. You are simply directing awareness to something that is already happening. Research from the University of Toronto suggests that this kind of body-based awareness is particularly effective at interrupting rumination, the repetitive negative thinking that drives anxiety and depression. The third practice involves eating. Mindful eating is one of the most studied and most consistently effective forms of daily mindfulness, yet it is almost completely ignored in how most people approach their meals. Studies show that people who eat while distracted consume on average 10% more calories per meal and report lower satisfaction afterward. Simply putting down your phone, taking one moment to look at your food, and chewing slowly engages your senses and your attention in a way that is both calming and deeply nourishing. This is not about eating perfectly. It is about eating consciously. Now here is a question most mindfulness teachers avoid. What do you do when your mind refuses to cooperate? Because it will. Every single time you try to be present, your brain will generate thoughts, plans, worries, memories, and commentary. Most beginners interpret this as failure. They assume a clear, quiet mind is the goal, and since they cannot achieve it, they conclude that mindfulness is not working or that they are doing it wrong. This misunderstanding is responsible for the majority of people who quit within the first few weeks. The truth is this. A wandering mind is not a failed mind. It is a normal mind doing exactly what minds do. The practice of mindfulness is not the absence of thought. It is the act of noticing that your mind has wandered and gently returning your attention without judgment. That return, that small, quiet act of redirection, is the repetition that builds the mental muscle. Every time you catch yourself drifting and come back, you are doing the work. Some sessions will feel scattered and frustrating. That is not a sign of failure. That is the practice functioning exactly as it is designed to. Research published in the journal Psychological Science found that people who were more self-compassionate during mindfulness practice showed greater long-term benefits than those who judged themselves harshly for losing focus. The quality of kindness you bring to your own wandering mind turns out to be just as important as the attention itself. Let us talk about the deeper implications of building a mindfulness practice into daily life. There is growing evidence that regular present moment awareness changes not just mood, but decision-making, relationships, and even physical health. A meta-analysis published in JAMA Internal Medicine reviewed 47 clinical trials and found that mindfulness meditation programs showed moderate evidence of improving anxiety, depression, and pain. These are not minor lifestyle adjustments. These are outcomes that rival medication in certain populations, without side effects, without cost, and available to anyone. But the relational dimension is where things become truly compelling. When you are genuinely present with another person, they feel it. Psychological research on attachment and communication consistently shows that felt presence, the experience of being truly seen and heard, is one of the most powerful factors in relationship satisfaction. Mindfulness is not just a solo practice. It is a social skill. The person who can sit with a friend, a partner, or a child and actually be there, not half there, not waiting to speak, but fully attentive, is offering something increasingly rare. In a world of constant distraction, genuine presence has become a profound act of care. The final piece worth examining is integration versus isolation. Many people treat mindfulness as something they do for 10 minutes in the morning and then forget about for the rest of the day. That approach produces limited results. The more powerful model is treating mindfulness as a lens rather than a task. The goal is not to complete a session and move on. It is to carry that quality of attention into your conversations, your work, your meals, your walks, and your moments of rest. It begins with formal practice, yes, but it matures into a way of moving through life. The Harvard happiness researchers who measured that 47% mind-wandering statistic concluded their paper with something quietly remarkable. Before you go, if you learned something valuable today, hit that like button right now. Subscribe to Sleep Wave for a brand new video every single day. We will see you in the next one.